In this short message, I want to talk about intercession. Intercession simply means you act on someone else's behalf. Whether an individual consents to it or not, that doesn't matter. When you intercede, there is a situation that concerns someone else and you act on someone else's behalf. Well, intercession also happens in politics. It happens in the business world. Democracy is a form of intercession in which the population entrusts their safety and their security into the hands of a handful of people that we call politicians. So when they vote on a party or vote on an individual, that individual becomes their intercessor that needs to act on their behalf. Well, I don't want to go too deep into this, but you may have experienced that human intercessions based on human principles, they're not always quite effective. I mean, there are a lot of political scandals, there's bribery going on, there's corruption. However, there's also spiritual intercession. And the thing with spiritual intercession is that it's far more effective because you go to the root of stuff. I'm not saying that human intercession amongst humans is useless. It can work. But when you intercede, spiritually, you go to the root of something. It can be that someone has a financial difficulty. And you think, you know what, let me talk to some people so that he can get a job. And maybe you do it, and he does get a job. Now he has a job, but now there's depression. He has a job, but he's depressed. So now he needs to take medicine to continue doing his job. And so now you think, okay, he needs medicine, now you're interceding again so that he will get a doctor. And the doctor points to a hospital. In the hospital, they say he has to do surgery, so that happens. But now he becomes dependent upon medicine for his whole life. And because the operation works, but there are side effects also. You see what I'm saying here? I'm not saying human intercession is useless, but it has its limits. It began with a guy having economic difficulty, or financial difficulty. A shift happens. So now the contention went from financial difficulty to health issues. And from health issues, it became worse. So what really needed to happen is that someone would look at the situation, find out what the root is, and deal with the root of it. Because human beings are spirit beings with souls living in bodies. So our issues have spiritual roots. Let me say, the roots of negative things are paranormal. So negative things have paranormal roots. When you deal with the paranormal root of something, the manifestation will change automatically. So that's why spiritual intercession is very important. Now, in the world, you have a kind of spiritual intercession through witchcraft, but it isn't really intercession because things are only shifted. So it doesn't really help you, but it exists. But as I believe you're not intended to be part of that. You are intended to intercede in a Christ-centered manner. Interceding in a Christ-centered manner implies you go to the root of something and you deal with the root. Too often, people that claim to follow Christ, I'm not sure if they're believers or not, but that doesn't matter now. They claim to follow Christ, but when they intercede for others, it goes like this. Oh Lord, help Frank get a job. Oh Lord, save Jeff's marriage. Oh Lord, this. They're more into the begging state, as if Christ is some self-centered, egomaniac tyrant that you need to beg with your life to get something from him. So they have an attitude of fear, in which you use Christ's name to petition for an outcome. That's blasphemy, straight up. Because there's no faith in it, it's blasphemy. That prayer is an abomination, for real. So, how do you intercede in a Christ-centered manner? Oh, by the way, there's a swan here. To intercede in a Christ-centered manner simply means you look at the situation, and if you see there's something that doesn't line up with Christ's promises, you go to the root of it. If there is sickness, then you know it's not in line with Christ. So you go to the root and you cast out the spirits of sickness. Of course, it's a physical manifestation there. That's a real thing. but the root of it is paranormal. You cast out the paranormal root, and then you speak out healing on that individual. You acknowledge that there's a physical sickness over there, but you declare health on the individual. You don't need to do it in a ritual manner, just decree it. So now you've removed the paranormal root and you put something else in its place. Because that's often people forget. You can't just remove something, you have to put something else in the place of it. That's interceding in a Christ-centered manner. If someone has social issues, they're not mentally stable, they have mind issues, so you speak out deliverance upon them, you speak out health and long life and all of that, but you also pray that they'll be delivered from wrong thinking and from the wrong people. So instead of only focusing on the circumstance and bring relief to the circumstance, go to the root of it. Because so often people want to bring relief in a circumstance. And bring relief in a circumstance can be practical, it can be useful, it can be needed, but it's far more effective and it's far more lasting when you deal with the root of something. I said it before, don't be distracted by moving the mountain. Look at what finances the mountain and deal with that. Well, intercession is important. It's important for you to do it, because don't you realize that those that worship the devil, they also have a form of intercession in which they intercede on other people's behalf, but for their destruction. It happens. They come together in their witch covens, in their wizard meetings, and they form their circles, call upon evil powers, and begin to chant curses on the community. And if there are specific targets that they've selected from a community, they begin to chant down sickness, chant down all kinds of financial difficulties, they'll chant down suicide on people. Yes, they do. Those worship the devil do such weird things, and they're quite dedicated. They work over hours doing such stuff. So you agree with Christ. So you ought to intercede also. And you have the power in you. You're not operating in that counterfeit garbage that devil worshippers are operating in. That's why they need to do so much stuff for things to happen. You agree with Christ so that the power will flow through you and work with it. Be at peace.